in the quiet farming community of Willow Creek. The rhythm of life moved with the steady passage of seasons, a place where horses were woven into the fabric of daily existence. The town's dusty roads and sun-baked fields bore witness to generations who had grown up alongside these graceful creatures. Yet tales of miracles were often met with doubt and quiet skepticism. For many, the idea that hope could spring from brokenness felt like a story better left to legends, not something to be found in the dirt and sweat of their everyday lives. At the edge of town, nestled between a cluster of tall oaks and the sprawling meadows, stood a modest veterinary clinic. Its weathered wooden sign creaked softly in the wind, reading simply, "Harper Veterinary Care." This was the sanctuary of Emily Harper, a dedicated veterinarian whose gentle touch and unwavering compassion had earned her a quiet respect among Willow Creek's residents. But beneath the calm exterior, Emily carried the weight of recent losses that lingered like shadows in her heart, threatening to dull the light she worked so hard to keep alive. Emily's days were a steady routine of tending to the farm animals that populated the surrounding countryside. Injured calves, ailing chickens, and the occasional stray dog. Most of her patients were well loved by their owners, but not all. The horses, in particular, held a special place in her heart, their noble strength and quiet intelligence a balm for the aches she couldn't always name. Each morning, she opened the clinic's door to the familiar scent of hay and antiseptic, ready to face whatever challenges the day would bring. Yet, on this cool morning, as the sun began its slow climb over the horizon, Emily felt a restless unease. The phone call came just as she was finishing her breakfast, a message that would soon pull her from the comfort of routine into the uncertain territory of hope and despair. "Emily, it's Tom Miller down at the edge of town. It's Belle. She's hurt bad. I don't know if she's going to make it. I think it's time. Well, you know." The farmer's voice was thick with resignation, the kind that comes after long nights spent wrestling with a painful truth. Belle was a mare known throughout Willow Creek, a strong and spirited horse that had belonged to Tom's family for years. To hear those words from him was a blow that landed hard. Without hesitation, Emily grabbed her coat and the medical bag she kept ready for emergencies. The drive to Tom's farm was familiar, but felt different today. Heavier somehow, as if the land itself was holding its breath. When she arrived, the morning light revealed Belle lying awkwardly in the muddy paddock, her flanks rising and falling with labored breaths. The mare's coat was matted with dirt and dried blood, and her eyes, though dimmed by pain, still held a flicker of the fierce spirit that had once made her the pride of the farm. Tom stood nearby, his face etched with worry and fatigue. "I don't want to see her suffer, Emily. She's been through a lot. If you think there's no hope, I want you to be honest with me." His voice cracked, the weight of years of hard work and love now balanced on the edge of a decision he never wanted to make. Emily knelt beside Belle, her hands gentle as she touched the mare's trembling neck. The injury was severe. Belle could barely stand, and every movement sent a fresh wave of pain through her body. Yet beneath the surface, Emily sensed something else. A resilience, a quiet strength that refused to be extinguished. She met Belle's gaze and felt a stir of determination take root within her. The farm was silent, except for the occasional rustle of leaves and the soft sounds of Belle's labored breathing. Emily's mind raced as she weighed the grim reality against the faint glimmer of hope she saw in the mare's eyes. She knew the path ahead would be difficult, filled with uncertainty and hard decisions. But something told her this was a fight worth fighting. "Tom," she said softly, I want to take Belle back to the clinic. I need to run some tests, see exactly what we're dealing with before we make any decisions. She could hear the hesitation in his breath, the tight knot of fear and hope tangled together, but she held his gaze firmly. We owe her that much. Tom nodded slowly, the first flicker of hope breaking through his despair. All right, Emily. Let's give her a chance. With careful hands and steady resolve, Emily helped Belle to her feet. The mare's legs trembled beneath her, but she stood, eyes fixed on the horizon, as if willing herself toward recovery. Emily's heart tightened at the sight. This was more than an animal in pain. This was a creature fighting for life with every ounce of will she had left. The ride back to the clinic was slow and cautious, Belle's body swaying with every bump in the road. Emily spoke softly to her voice a steady thread of comfort amidst the uncertainty. We're going to take it one step at a time, Belle. You're not alone. Arriving at the clinic, Emily immediately set to work. The small space was filled with the quiet sounds of medical equipment and the soft rustle of bandages as she prepared for the examination. Belle stood quietly, her deep brown eyes reflecting a mixture of fear and trust. Emily's hands moved with practiced precision as she conducted a thorough physical exam, noting the areas of swelling and bruising, the subtle signs of lameness that told a painful story. Despite the severity of the injuries, something about Belle's demeanor suggested a flicker of life that refused to be snuffed out. As Emily finished the preliminary assessment, she stepped back, her mind swirling with questions and possibilities. The farm owner's insistence on euthanasia echoed in her thoughts. But the mare's eyes held a silent plea that she could not ignore. This was no simple case of injury. It was a test of faith and determination. She sat down at the edge of the examination room and scribbled notes in her journal, the quiet scratch of pen against paper breaking the stillness. Outside, the morning sun climbed higher, casting long, hopeful beams through the window. Emily knew the road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges. But in that moment, she made a quiet vow to herself and to Belle. She would fight for every breath, every heartbeat, every chance at healing. As the town of Willow Creek stirred to life beyond the clinic walls, Emily Harper sat beside a wounded mare whose story was only just beginning. In a world where miracles were rare and hope often fragile, this small act of defiance against despair was the first step towards something extraordinary. The sun had barely risen when Emily arrived at Tom Miller's farm the following morning, the air crisp and tinged with a faint scent of damp earth. The quiet of the sprawling fields was broken only by the distant crow of a rooster and the occasional rustle of leaves swaying in a gentle breeze. Emily's heart tightened as she approached the paddock where Belle lay, her fragile form barely visible beneath the pale light. Tom stood nearby, his weathered hands gripping the wooden fence, eyes fixed on the mare. The lines of worry etched deep into his face told a story of sleepless nights and long battles with doubt. When he saw Emily step into the yard, a flicker of hope crossed his features, though the weight of uncertainty still clung heavily to the air. Emily moved slowly toward Belle, her boots sinking slightly into the soft ground as she knelt beside the mare. Belle's breathing was shallow, each inhale a struggle, yet her eyes met Emily's with a faint glimmer of recognition. The mare's coat, once lustrous and full of life, was now marred by dirt, patches of dried blood, and the unmistakable signs of pain etched into every muscle. "I know this looks bad, Emily," Tom said quietly, his voice rough with emotion. "I've been thinking about what's best for her. She's been through so much already. I don't want to watch her suffer anymore." Emily reached out, her hand resting gently on Belle's neck, feeling the rapid thrum of her pulse beneath the trembling skin. I understand, Tom. It's hard to see someone you care about in pain. But we owe it to her to be sure. Sometimes there's more strength beneath the surface than we realize. The mare shifted slightly, a faint whimper escaping her lips, as if answering Emily's words. Despite the severity of her condition, there was a stubbornness in Belle's spirit, a quiet refusal to give in that stirred something deep within Emily. Carefully, Emily began her examination, her fingers tracing the bruises and swelling that marred Belle's legs. The mare flinched at certain points, and Emily noted the areas that seemed most tender. Belle's weight was unevenly distributed, her stance unsteady, and every movement appeared to send waves of discomfort through her body. The challenge before Emily was daunting. Belle's injuries were severe, and the risk of further harm was high. Yet the mare's eyes, filled with a mixture of pain and resilience, told a different story. One of survival and hope. Emily's mind raced as she considered the possibilities, weighing the chances of recovery against the realities of the damage. "I want to take her back to the clinic," Emily said finally, her voice firm but gentle. "We need to do some tests, x-rays, blood work, to understand what we're dealing with. It's the only way we can make the right decision for her." Tom hesitated, the uncertainty clear in his eyes. "I don't want to get your hopes up if there's no chance." Emily shook her head, a determined light in her gaze. "Sometimes, hope is the first step to healing. We'll take this one moment at a time." With Tom's reluctant consent, Emily set about preparing Belle for the journey. She moved with quiet efficiency, wrapping the mare's legs with soft bandages to provide support and cushioning, her voice a calm anchor in the midst of turmoil. Belle responded to the gentle touch, her breathing easing slightly as Emily whispered soothing words. The slow walk to the trailer was a delicate operation. Belle's legs trembled beneath her, each step requiring careful balance and immense effort. Emily stayed close, steadying the mare with a reassuring presence, refusing to let fear or doubt creep in. The surrounding fields, usually vibrant with life, seemed to hold their breath as the fragile procession made its way toward the waiting vehicle. Once Belle was secured inside the trailer, Emily climbed in beside her, speaking softly to calm nerves, both her own and the mare's. The rumble of the engine and the steady motion of the road beneath them were unfamiliar comforts in an otherwise uncertain world. Emily felt a surge of protectiveness wash over her, a promise that she would not let Belle face this battle alone. Upon arriving at the clinic, Emily guided Belle carefully into the examination room, the sterile walls a stark contrast to the open fields outside. The mare's eyes flickered with wariness, but there was also a flicker of trust, a fragile thread that Emily clung to as she prepared for the next steps. Emily began with a thorough physical assessment, her practiced hands moving with a blend of precision and tenderness. Each bruise, each swollen joint told a story, mapping the extent of Belle's suffering. The mare's pulse was rapid, her respiration shallow but steady, and Emily took note of every detail, understanding that these were the clues that would guide her treatment. As the initial exam concluded, Emily moved to the clinic's small X-ray room, where the soft hum of the machine filled the quiet space. Belle was gently positioned, her body carefully supported to minimize discomfort. The images that appeared on the screen were sobering, fractures and contusions that spoke of serious trauma, the kind that could end a horse's career or even her life. Yet beneath the stark lines of broken bone, Emily saw something else. Potential. The fractures, while complex, were not shattered beyond repair. With the right care, rest, and patience, there was a chance Belle could heal. Emily's mind raced with the possibilities as she returned to the examination room. She knelt beside Belle, running her fingers lightly over the mare's mane. "You're tougher than I thought, girl," she whispered, a small smile breaking through the tension. "We're going to fight this together." The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Emily's shoulders. She knew the road ahead would be long and filled with challenges, but the first hurdle had been crossed. Belle was alive, and the fight for her future had begun. As the morning light streamed through the clinic windows, casting long shadows across the floor, Emily gathered her notes and prepared to call Tom. She needed to share the findings, to navigate the delicate balance between honesty and hope. The decision to fight for Belle's life was no longer just hers. It was a journey that would involve the entire community, a story that was just beginning to unfold. Outside, the world carried on with its familiar rhythms. But within the walls of the small clinic, a quiet battle was taking shape. Belle, battered but unbroken, lay poised on the edge of survival, her fate resting in the hands of a veterinarian determined to uncover the strength hidden beneath the surface. The clinic was quiet that afternoon, the usual bustle subdued beneath a heavy stillness that seemed to settle in the corners of the room. Emily sat at her cluttered desk, the soft glow of a desk lamp illuminating the scattered papers and medical charts before her. Outside, the fading light of day filtered through the windows, casting long shadows across the worn wooden floor. Her mind churned with the images from Belle's examination, the bruises, the swelling, and the fractures that told a story of pain and trauma. Yet it was the mare's eyes that haunted her the most. Deep pools of vulnerability mixed with a flicker of something indefinable, something that stirred a quiet resolve within Emily's heart. As she reviewed her notes, the weight of the decision ahead pressed down on her. The farmer's request for euthanasia echoed persistently in her thoughts, a plea born not of cruelty, but of compassion, tempered by the harsh realities of farm life. To Tom Miller, Belle's injuries seemed insurmountable, a burden too heavy to bear. But Emily knew that appearances could deceive. Beneath the bruises and lacerations, beneath the limp and the pain, there might still be life worth fighting for. She rose from her chair and moved toward the examination room where Belle rested, the mare's heavy, breathing the only sound breaking the silence. Emily approached slowly, her footsteps soft against the floor. She knelt beside Belle's stall, reaching out to brush a stray lock of mane from the mare's forehead. Belle's eyes fluttered open, meeting Emily's gaze with a fragile trust that lent her strength. "There's something about you, Belle," Emily whispered. "I can't explain it, but I feel like there's more beneath the surface. I want to find out what that is." The mare's soft whicker was a small reassurance, a fragile pact between two beings bound by hope and uncertainty. Emily began a more detailed physical examination, her hands moving with practiced care over Belle's body. The extensive bruising was evident. Dark purples and blues mottled across the mare's legs and flank, signs of trauma that told of a recent fall or collision. Belle's lameness was pronounced. Standing was a struggle, and each movement seemed to send a fresh pulse of pain through her muscles and joints. Emily noted the stiffness and swelling, the subtle shifts of weight that betrayed the mare's discomfort. Despite the severity, there was no obvious sign of a compound fracture or open wound, which was a small but significant relief. The mare's resilience was quietly evident, and Emily's resolve strengthened. She reached for her stethoscope, listening to Belle's heartbeat, a steady rhythm that spoke of lingering life and potential. Yet the farmer's insistence on euthanasia loomed over every assessment. Tom's voice replayed in her mind. "If you think there's no hope, I want you to be honest with me." Honesty was a double-edged sword in moments like this. Too much candor might extinguish the faintest glimmer of hope. Too little could lead to false expectations. Emily knew she needed more information. The injuries, while visible, could mask deeper damage that only imaging could reveal. An X-ray was imperative, a window beneath the surface that might uncover the truth hidden in bone and tissue. Determined, she made the decision to take Belle back to the clinic for the scans. The journey back was slow and cautious. Emily moved with gentle hands and steady words, soothing the mare as best she could during the bumpy ride. The familiar surroundings of the clinic offered a measure of comfort, but the sterile walls also brought a stark reminder of the uncertainty ahead. Once settled, Emily prepared Belle for the X-ray examination. The mare was carefully positioned, her weight supported to minimize pain. The machine hummed softly as images were taken, the black and white shadows revealing a complex picture. Fractures appeared along the leg bones, some hairline, others more severe, but none were completely shattered. The damage was serious, but not beyond repair. Emily studied the images intently, tracing the fractures with her finger. The complexity meant that healing would be slow and require meticulous care. But the possibility of recovery was real. She felt a cautious hope begin to kindle within her, a hope that would soon need to be shared and tested. After the procedure, Emily sat beside Belle, her voice a soothing murmur. "You're stronger than you look, Belle. We're going to take this one step at a time. I promise I'll do everything I can." Returning to the waiting room, Emily dialed Tom's number, her fingers trembling slightly. When he answered, the fatigue in his voice was unmistakable. "Tom, I've seen the X-rays. Belle's injuries are serious, but they're not hopeless. The fractures can heal with the right care. It won't be easy and it'll take time, but I believe she has a chance." There was a pause on the other end before Tom spoke, his voice heavy with emotion. "Are you sure, Emily? I don't want to keep her alive if she's just going to suffer." Emily's heart ached for the farmer's pain. "I know this is hard, but Belle's fighting, and I think we owe it to her and to ourselves to try. We'll give her the care she needs and see where it takes us. If at any point it becomes clear she's suffering too much, we'll make that call together." A long silence followed, filled with the weight of difficult choices and fragile hope. "All right," Tom finally said. "We'll give it a shot." With the decision made, Emily began to plan Belle's treatment. She prepared a regimen of rest, pain management, and supportive care, knowing that each day would bring new challenges. As she returned to the examination room, she found Belle resting quietly, the mare's breath slow and steady. Emily settled beside her, feeling the rise and fall of Belle's chest beneath her hand. The bond between them, tentative but growing, was a source of strength. In the quiet of the clinic, with the soft evening light casting a warm glow, Emily allowed herself a moment to believe in the possibility of healing. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with unknowns and daunting obstacles. But for now, there was hope, a fragile, flickering flame that neither Emily nor Belle was willing to let go. The morning light filtered softly through the clinic windows, casting a pale glow over the quiet examination room where Belle rested on a bed of fresh straw. The air was tinged with the faint scent of antiseptic, mingling with hay, an odd but comforting blend that had become Emily's new normal. Outside, the world was waking to the gentle stirrings of dawn. But inside, time seemed to slow, each moment heavy with cautious anticipation. Emily sat beside Belle, her fingers tracing gentle circles on the mare's sleek coat, feeling the steady rise and fall of her breath beneath her palm. The X-rays from the day before, had revealed fractures. Complex, yes, but not irreparable. That knowledge sparked a fragile ember of hope within Emily, a light against the shadows of doubt that had clung so tightly before. Yet, as she observed Belle's weary eyes and labored breathing, the reality of the road ahead settled like a weight on Emily's shoulders. This was not a simple injury. It was a challenge that would test patience, skill, and heart. The decision to fight for Belle's recovery meant embracing uncertainty, embracing the long, slow march of healing that might stretch for months. With careful hands, Emily began assembling a plan, a regimen of rest, medication, and supportive care tailored to the mare's needs. Pain management was paramount. Each movement Belle made was a reminder of the delicate balance between comfort and healing. Emily reached for the bottle of anti-inflammatory medication prescribed to ease the swelling and discomfort, preparing the dose with meticulous attention. As she administered the medicine, Emily spoke softly to Belle, her voice a soothing balm amid the sterile walls. "We're just getting started, girl. It's going to be tough, but I believe you can do this." The mare's ears flicked toward her, a subtle acknowledgement that seemed to carry a promise of resilience. Emily knew that rest would be the foundation of recovery. Belle needed to be confined to a small, comfortable stall, protected from further strain, yet given enough space to move gently. The clinic's isolation stall, usually reserved for contagious animals, was repurposed for Belle's care. Its clean bedding and quiet corners offering a sanctuary from the world outside. Adjusting the stall's layout, Emily ensured Belle had easy access to fresh water and hay, essentials to keep her strength up during the long healing process. She settled a soft blanket over the mare's shoulders, a small comfort against the chill that lingered in the air. But medicine and comfort alone could not heal the spirit. Emily understood the importance of companionship, of presence. She made a point to spend hours by Belle's side each day, speaking quietly, brushing her coat, and sharing moments of calm. The bond between them deepened, a silent language of trust and hope that transcended words. Despite Emily's dedication, the initial days were marked by frustration and uncertainty. Belle's progress was slow, her movements tentative and often painful. Each step was a careful negotiation between will and weakness. Emily watched closely for signs of improvement or distress, adjusting care as needed, always mindful of the fine line between encouragement and overexertion. The community beyond the clinic began to stir with whispers of the mare's plight. Tom Miller shared updates with neighbors and friends, some shaking their heads in doubt, others offering quiet prayers. News traveled slowly through Willow Creek, a town where skepticism often tempered hope, and miracles were rare. Emily received calls from curious farmers and concerned neighbors, questions mingled with doubt. "A horse like Belle, after what she's been through. You really think she can pull through?" On the spill, voice asked over the phone, heavy with disbelief. Emily's answer was steady, rooted in both science and faith. "She's strong. The injuries are serious, but not impossible. With care and time, she can heal." The days stretched into weeks, each marked by small victories and setbacks. Belle began to show subtle signs of strength, a flicker of energy in her eyes, a tentative shift in her weight, a willingness to lift a leg higher than before. Emily celebrated each moment, a cautious smile breaking through the fatigue that often clouded her own spirit. At the clinic, the routine became ritual. Mornings spent administering medication and checking vital signs. Afternoons filled with gentle grooming and quiet companionship. Evenings dedicated to monitoring for signs of pain or infection. Emily's dedication was unwavering, fueled by the growing bond between her and the mare. One afternoon, as Emily brushed Belle's mane, a soft nicker escaped the mare's lips, a sound of recognition and perhaps gratitude. Emily paused, heart swelling with a fragile hope. It was a small moment, but in it lay the promise of recovery. Yet, beneath the surface, challenges persisted. The fractures required immobilization, which meant Belle's movements were restricted, leading to stiffness and restlessness. Emily grappled with the balance between necessary confinement and the mare's need for gentle exercise to maintain muscle tone and circulation. She consulted with Dr. Patricia Vance, the local veterinarian and trusted colleague, whose expertise in equine rehabilitation offered guidance and reassurance. Together, they devised a plan for gradual movement, short, controlled walks within the stall, careful stretches to encourage healing without strain. Emily implemented the new regimen with cautious optimism, watching Belle's response closely. The mare's stubborn spirit became evident in these moments, a quiet determination that matched Emily's own. As word of Belle's fight spread, a small but growing circle of support emerged in Willow Creek. Neighbors brought fresh hay and supplies, children offered drawings and notes of encouragement, and local farmers shared stories of resilience and recovery. Belle's struggle became a symbol, not just of a horse's will to live, but of the community's capacity to hope. In the stillness of the clinic, as the days lengthened and the seasons shifted, Emily found herself transformed alongside Belle. The mare's fight rekindled a spark within her, a renewed faith in the power of persistence and compassion. Each day was a step forward, a testament to the truth that beneath the surface, beyond bruises, fractures, and doubt, there could be healing. The journey was far from over, but Emily held fast to the belief that sometimes the deepest wounds revealed the greatest strength. As the sun dipped low that evening, casting a warm amber glow across the clinic walls, Emily sat beside Belle, her hand resting gently on the mare's flank. "We're not done yet," she whispered. "Not by a long shot." The following morning, the clinic hummed quietly with the familiar rhythm of care and vigilance. Emily arrived before dawn, the sky a soft gradient of blues and grays, carrying with her the steady determination that had become the backbone of Belle's fragile recovery. The mare lay in her stall, eyes half closed but alert, her breathing calmer and more even than it had been days before. Despite the lingering pain etched into every movement, there was a subtle shift, a glimmer of progress that stirred hope in Emily's heart. Emily moved with practiced grace, preparing the morning's medication and treatment supplies with meticulous care. The regimen she had designed was intensive, a delicate balance of rest, anti-inflammatory drugs, and gentle physical support. Each step was essential, a thread woven into the fabric of healing that required patience and precision. As she approached Belle, the mare lifted her head, nostrils flaring slightly at the familiar scent of Emily's presence. "Good morning, Belle," Emily whispered, her voice a soft balm against the sterile air. She reached out, running a gentle hand along the mare's neck, feeling the taut muscles beneath the still sensitive skin. The day's first task was administering the medication, a blend of pain relievers and anti-inflammatories intended to ease Belle's discomfort and reduce swelling. Emily measured the doses carefully, her hands steady despite the emotional stakes. Belle accepted the treatment with quiet resignation, her trust in Emily growing steadily with each passing day. With the medicines given, Emily turned her attention to the next critical phase, building trust and encouraging the mare's spirit. The injuries had taken a toll not only on Belle's body, but on her will to move and engage with the world. Emily understood that healing was as much a mental journey as a physical one, and she was determined to be both guardian and companion on that path. She spent hours by Belle's side, brushing her coat in slow, deliberate strokes, whispering gentle reassurances. Belle's breathing would often steady under Emily's touch, the mare's eyes softening with a flicker of recognition and comfort. It was in these quiet moments that Emily felt the bond between them deepen, a connection forged through shared struggle and unwavering care. But even as progress was made, the road ahead remained fraught with challenges. Belle's fractures were healing slowly, and the risk of setbacks loomed large. Emily devised a careful schedule of rest, interspersed with brief periods of gentle movement, designed to stimulate circulation and prevent muscle atrophy without jeopardizing the fragile healing bones. Each morning, after medication, Emily would assist Belle in shifting her weight and taking tentative steps within the confines of her stall. The mare's legs trembled beneath her, muscles weak from disuse. But each movement was a victory, a testament to resilience and determination. Emily documented every detail meticulously, tracking Belle's responses and adjusting care accordingly. The clinic's small room transformed into a sanctuary of healing, filled with whispered encouragements, soft brushes, and the steady rhythm of a heart learning to trust again. News of Belle's fight spread quietly through Willow Creek, carried by the murmurs of neighbors and the cautious hope of farmers who understood the delicate balance between life and loss. Some remained skeptical, their hardened faces betraying disbelief that a horse so severely injured could recover. Others, quietly moved by the mare's struggle, offered support, hay, supplies, even visits to the clinic to share words of encouragement. Emily welcomed the growing circle of care, recognizing that healing extended beyond the physical. The community's belief, tentative but genuine, became a vital force, a collective thread weaving strength into Belle's recovery. One afternoon, as Emily prepared to assist Belle with her gentle exercises, the clinic door creaked open. Dr. Patricia Vance stepped inside, her presence a steady reassurance. Patricia was a seasoned veterinarian, known for her expertise in equine rehabilitation, and her advice had become an invaluable resource for Emily. "I've been following Belle's progress," Patricia said, her voice calm but filled with warmth. "She's showing remarkable resilience. How's she doing today?" Emily smiled, a mixture of relief and pride shining in her eyes. "Better. Slow but steady. The medication is helping, and she's starting to respond to the gentle movement. It's a delicate balance, but I think we're on the right track." Patricia nodded thoughtfully. "That's good to hear. Keep monitoring her closely. Look for any signs of discomfort or fatigue. And remember, patience is key. Horses have an incredible capacity to heal, but it takes time." The two veterinarians discussed adjustments to Belle's care plan, incorporating ideas for physical therapy and pain management that could support the mare's gradual return to strength. Their shared dedication underscored the importance of collaboration and expertise in the face of uncertainty. As Patricia left, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. Belle's fight was not hers alone. It was a journey supported by knowledge, community, and unwavering hope. The days that followed were filled with careful routines and subtle milestones. Belle's eyes grew brighter, her movements less hesitant. She began to shift her weight more confidently, even lifting a leg higher than before during the gentle exercises. Each small improvement was a cause for celebration, a beacon in the long, slow process of healing. Emily found herself drawn deeper into the rhythm of care, her own spirit buoyed by the mare's growing strength. The early morning visits, the quiet afternoons spent brushing and talking, the evenings watching Belle rest, Each moment was a thread in the tapestry of hope they were weaving together. Yet, beneath the surface, doubts lingered. The fractures were still fragile, and the risk of complications remained real. Emily grappled with the fear of setbacks, the knowledge that progress could be undone in an instant. But she pushed those fears aside, focusing instead on the present. The small victories, the growing trust, the undeniable spark of life in Belle's eyes. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the sky blazed with the colors of dusk, Emily sat beside Belle, her hand resting gently on the mare's flank. Belle shifted slightly, nuzzling Emily's palm in a quiet gesture of connection. "We're in this together," Emily murmured, her voice filled with quiet conviction. "One day at a time." In that moment, the clinic walls seemed to fade, leaving only the bond between woman and mare. A bond forged in pain, hope, and the unyielding will to heal. The journey ahead was uncertain, but Emily knew they would face it side by side, each step a testament to resilience and the power of faith beneath the surface. Weeks had passed since Belle's arrival at the clinic, and the slow rhythm of healing had begun to weave its subtle changes into the fabric of her being. Each day brought with it a cautious sense of progress, a slight shift in weight, a timid step forward, a spark of life rekindled in eyes that had once been dulled by pain and fear. Emily watched these moments with a mixture of relief and quiet awe, the bond between them deepening with every shared breath and gentle touch. Belle's recovery was far from swift. It was a patient, painstaking journey, marked by small victories and lingering challenges. The fractures, though healing, demanded meticulous care, and any misstep could threaten to undo the fragile progress made. Emily's days were consumed by rounds of medication, physical therapy, and constant observation, her hands and heart fully invested in the mare's fight. Despite the slow pace, Belle's spirit began to emerge from beneath the shadows of injury. The mare's eyes, once clouded with pain, now held a growing brightness, a reflection of resilience and trust. Emily found solace in these moments, a reminder that beneath the bruises and scars, life still pulsed strong. Their routine had settled into a rhythm of mutual understanding. Morning light would find Emily seated beside Belle, brushing her coat with slow, deliberate strokes, speaking softly to calm restless muscles and spirits alike. Afternoons were reserved for carefully guided exercises, short walks within the stall, gentle stretches, and subtle shifts in posture designed to rebuild strength without risking harm. Each exercise was a test of will and endurance. Belle's legs trembled with effort, her steps hesitant but determined. Emily's presence was a constant reassurance, a steady hand to guide and support. When the mare faltered, Emily's voice lifted with encouragement, a steady beacon in moments of doubt. The growing bond between them was palpable, a silent conversation of trust and hope that needed no words. Emily spoke of the future in soft whispers, painting pictures of open pastures and freedom, of days when Belle would run strong once more. The mare seemed to listen, her ears flicking toward Emily's voice, her breaths growing steadier. Yet, healing was not without setbacks. There were days when Belle's progress stalled, when swelling flared anew or pain tightened its grip. On those occasions, Emily's resolve was tested, the frustration and fear threatening to overwhelm her. But each time, she drew strength from Belle's quiet determination, from the community's growing support, and from the belief that healing was possible. Emily's journal, once filled with clinical notes and treatment plans, now held stories, chronicles of a journey marked by resilience and transformation. She documented every nuance, the way Belle's ears twitched in response to her voice, the soft nicker of recognition, the gradual return of appetite and energy. These details were the threads of hope woven into the tapestry of recovery. Outside the clinic, Willow Creek stirred with renewed interest. Belle's story had become a quiet legend, whispered among neighbors and farmers who marveled at the mare's tenacity. Visitors came to the clinic, some skeptical, others hopeful, each drawn by the tale of a horse who refused to give up. Children from the nearby town began to visit, their shy smiles and gentle voices a balm for Belle's healing spirit. Emily watched as the mare responded to their presence, her posture softening, her eyes brightening. It was as if the innocence and joy of youth were healing wounds unseen. Among the visitors was Lisa, a shy girl with wide eyes and trembling hands, who found solace in Belle's calm presence. Emily noticed how the mare seemed to sense Lisa's anxiety, lowering her head to nuzzle the girl's fingers, offering comfort without judgment. The connection was subtle but profound, a reminder of the healing power that extended beyond flesh and bone. Marcus, a local teenager known for his restless energy and trouble with authority, also found himself drawn to the clinic. Initially skeptical, he began volunteering to help with chores, feeding, cleaning, grooming, his attitude softening as he witnessed Belle's steady progress. Emily saw a transformation in him that echoed the mare's own journey, a healing that transcended the physical. With each passing week, Belle's strength grew. Her legs bore more weight, her steps lengthened, and the stiffness that had once plagued her began to ease. Emily adjusted her care plan accordingly, introducing longer periods of gentle exercise and increased freedom within the stall. The clinic, once a place of quiet desperation, blossomed with life and hope. Emily's days were filled with the sounds of soft neighs, brushing brushes against coats, and the murmured voices of visitors sharing stories and encouragement. Belle had become more than a patient. She was a symbol, a living testament to the power of perseverance and compassion. Emily's own transformation was evident. Where once there had been doubt and weariness, now stood a woman renewed by purpose. Her faith in her work and in the possibility of healing had been restored, fueled by the mare's indomitable spirit. One afternoon, as the sun bathed the clinic in warm light, Emily watched Belle stand taller, her coat gleaming and eyes bright. The mare shifted her weight with grace, taking a few tentative steps without assistance. It was a moment that brought tears to Emily's eyes, a culmination of months of care, struggle, and unwavering hope. She knelt beside Belle, voice soft and filled with pride. "You did it, girl. I knew you could." Belle responded with a gentle nicker, her head resting briefly against Emily's shoulder, a silent acknowledgement of the bond they shared. The path ahead remained long, and the journey far from over. But in that fleeting moment, the promise of recovery shone brightly, a beacon guiding them forward, one steady step at a time. The news of Belle's remarkable recovery began to ripple quietly through Willow Creek, carried from one neighbor to another like a whispered secret that refused to be kept. In this close-knit farming community, where horses were as common as the rolling fields themselves, stories had a way of taking root and growing, especially those that carried a glimmer of hope amid hardship. People who had once viewed Belle's injuries with skepticism now found themselves drawn to the tale of the mare who refused to give up. Conversations at the local feed store, the diner's worn counter, and the church's Sunday gatherings all carried fragments of her story. Some shook their heads in disbelief, while others nodded with a newfound respect for the quiet miracle unfolding just beyond the town's edge. Emily noticed the subtle shift as visitors began arriving at the clinic. Not just farmers or horse owners, but children, families, and even those who had little connection to horses, but were moved by the narrative of resilience. They came bearing gifts of hay, fresh apples, and handmade cards decorated with hopeful drawings, small tokens of encouragement for the mare and the woman who cared for her. Among the visitors were children from the town's elementary school, escorted by their teachers, their eyes wide with curiosity and wonder. They approached Belle's stall with tentative steps, their voices hushed in reverence. The mare, now more alert and responsive, greeted them with gentle nuzzles and soft wickers, her presence a quiet comfort. Emily watched as Lisa, the shy girl who had been struggling with anxiety, reached out her hand. Belle lowered her head slowly, allowing Lisa to stroke her mane. The girl's fingers trembled at first, but as the mare's warmth seeped through, her expression softened, and a small smile blossomed. "It's like she knows I'm scared," Lisa whispered to Emily later, her voice barely audible. "But she doesn't mind. She's calm." Marcus, the local teenager who had found purpose working alongside Emily, also became a frequent visitor. His rough edges softened as he took on tasks around the clinic, cleaning stalls, preparing feed, and assisting with grooming. The responsibility gave him a focus he hadn't known before, and Emily saw in him a transformation that mirrored Belle's own. One afternoon, Marcus lingered after chores, watching Belle as she stood quietly in her stall. "She's amazing," he said, voice low and sincere. "I never thought I'd care so much about a horse." Emily smiled, recognizing the healing that extended beyond the physical. Sometimes, it's the broken ones who teach us the most. The community's response breathed new life into the clinic. Volunteers arrived with supplies, local businesses offered donations, and neighbors shared stories of their own struggles and triumphs. Belle had become a symbol, not just of recovery, but of hope and second chances. Word even reached the local newspaper, where a reporter came to interview Emily and capture the mare's journey. The article, printed with a photograph of Belle standing strong in the morning light, sparked wider interest. Letters poured in from readers moved by the story, each one a reminder of the profound impact a single act of compassion could have. Emily found herself at the center of a growing network of support. Yet, amidst the attention, she remained focused on Belle's needs, her care, comfort, and gradual return to health. The mare was still fragile, still healing, and the path ahead demanded patience and perseverance. One morning, as Emily tended to Belle's routine exercises, a group from the local Veterans Association arrived, bringing with them thoughtful gifts and a desire to learn more about the mare's story. They spoke of the healing power animals held, of the comfort they could provide to those wrestling with their own invisible wounds. Emily welcomed their interest, sensing the potential for Belle to offer more than just physical recovery. The mare's gentle nature, combined with her journey from injury to strength, held the promise of becoming a source of solace for others. As weeks passed, Belle's presence began to extend beyond the clinic walls. Emily coordinated visits where children grappling with emotional challenges could spend time with the mare, finding in her a patient listener and a calming presence. The transformation was subtle but profound. Lisa's confidence grew, Marcus's focus sharpened, and others found moments of peace in Belle's quiet companionship. The farm community of Willow Creek, once wary and doubtful, now embraced the mare as a beacon of hope. The story of Belle's fight and recovery became a shared narrative, a testament to resilience, compassion, and the extraordinary healing that could arise when broken souls were given a chance to mend. Emily often reflected on how far they had come, the mare's progress a mirror to the healing within herself and the community. Belle was no longer just a patient. She was a symbol of possibility, a living reminder that beneath the surface, even the most battered could find strength and renewal. As the sun set over the rolling fields, casting long shadows across the clinic, Emily stood beside Belle, feeling the warmth of the community's embrace. The journey was far from over, but the path ahead was illuminated by the shared hope of many hearts, all drawn together by the quiet miracle of a mare who refused to give up. The morning sun cast a warm glow over Willow Creek, its light filtering through the clinic's windows and settling softly on Belle's resting form. The mare lay quietly in her stall, eyes half closed, her breathing steady but shallow. For weeks, progress had been steady, a slow, hopeful climb from injury toward recovery. But as with all journeys marked by fragility, the path was never without its shadows. That day, Emily entered the clinic with her usual quiet determination, prepared to continue the careful routine that had become second nature. She moved gently, speaking in soothing tones, ready to administer medication and assist with Belle's exercises. Yet, as she approached, a subtle tension hung in the air. Something was different. Belle stirred uneasily, shifting her weight with a stiffness that hadn't been present before. Emily's trained eyes caught the slight flare of swelling around one leg, the subtle twitch of muscle that spoke of discomfort. Her heart tightened, signs of a setback. Over the next hours, Emily worked tirelessly to assess the situation. The swelling worsened, accompanied by a flicker of fever that set off alarms in her mind. The delicate balance they'd maintained was now threatened, and uncertainty crept back into the space they'd filled with hope. She called upon Dr. Patricia Vance, whose steady expertise was a balm in moments of crisis. Together, they examined Belle, their expressions grave but composed. X-rays revealed inflammation near the healing fractures, a sign that the mare's body was struggling with the strain of recovery. "It's not uncommon," Patricia explained gently. "Healing bones can be sensitive, and sometimes soft tissue inflammation complicates the process. But we need to act quickly to prevent further damage." Emily nodded, steeling herself for the difficult road ahead. The setback meant intensifying the treatment, more rest, adjusted medication, and careful monitoring. It was a reminder that healing was rarely linear. Progress could be followed by moments that tested resolve and patience. The days that followed were marked by frustration and quiet worry. Belle's movements were restricted further. The stall became both sanctuary and prison, limiting her freedom to protect fragile healing. Emily spent long hours by her side, offering comfort through gentle strokes and whispered encouragements. The mare's spirit, though tested, remained unbroken. As the community learned of the setback, concern rippled through Willow Creek. Visitors who had once brought gifts and smiles now offered words of support tinged with worry. Emily found solace in their presence, drawing strength from the shared commitment to Belle's recovery. Among the visitors was Lisa, whose visits had become a source of mutual comfort. She sat quietly beside Belle, her small hands resting gently on the mare's flank, her presence a calming influence. Emily observed how Belle responded, sensing the healing power that extended beyond medicine and rest. Marcus, too, stepped up, volunteering more time to assist with chores and offering a steady hand during the challenging days. His growing dedication was a reminder that healing often touched more lives than those directly involved. Emily adjusted the care plan daily, balancing medical interventions with moments of kindness and connection. She coordinated with Patricia to manage pain and inflammation, carefully administering treatments that aimed to ease discomfort without hindering progress. Despite the setbacks, Emily refused to let despair take root. She drew on the resilience she had seen in Belle from the beginning, the mare's quiet determination to stand, to breathe, to fight. It was a strength mirrored in the community's unwavering support and in Emily's own steadfast heart. One evening, as twilight settled over the clinic, Emily sat beside Belle, her hand resting gently on the mare's warm flank. Belle's eyes fluttered open, meeting Emily's with a soft nicker that spoke of trust and gratitude. In that moment, the weight of setbacks and fears lifted slightly, replaced by a fragile hope that whispered of healing yet to come. "We'll get through this," Emily murmured, voice steady despite the uncertainty. "One day at a time." The road ahead remained uncertain, marked by challenges that demanded patience and courage. But beneath the surface, beyond swelling and setbacks, there was a quiet promise. Belle's journey was far from over, and with every breath, every touch, every moment of care, the possibility of recovery endured. The soft light of early morning streamed through the clinic's windows, casting a warm glow over Belle as she stood quietly in her stall. The mare's movements, once stiff and uncertain, had grown more confident over the past weeks. Her coat gleamed with renewed vitality, and the gentle rise and fall of her breath suggested a comfort that had been elusive for so long. It was a moment that whispered of triumph, a fragile victory born of patience, care, and unyielding hope. Emily watched from nearby, her heart swelling with a quiet pride as Belle shifted her weight with ease, lifting her head to meet Emily's gaze with clear, bright eyes. The journey had been arduous, marked by setbacks and doubts. But here, in this simple act of standing tall, lay the proof of healing. The decision to gradually increase Belle's activity had been a turning point. With the guidance of Dr. Patricia Vance, Emily had introduced controlled exercise, short walks within the clinic's paddock, gentle stretches to rebuild muscle and encourage circulation. Belle responded with determination, each step a testament to resilience and trust. That morning, Emily prepared for a small gathering at the farm, a celebration of Belle's progress and the collective effort that had made it possible. Invitations had gone out to neighbors, friends, and those who had supported the mare's journey, their curiosity and hope mingling in the warm spring air. As guests arrived, the clinic buzzed with quiet excitement. Children's laughter mingled with the soft neighs of horses, and conversations flowed like a gentle stream, weaving stories of struggle and triumph. Emily moved among the crowd, sharing updates and embracing the shared joy that filled the space. Tom Miller, Belle's owner, stood nearby, his weathered face softened by a smile that spoke of relief and gratitude. "Never thought we'd see the day she'd be up and moving like this," he said quietly, eyes fixed on the mare. "She's a fighter, that one." Emily nodded, feeling the weight of months in those few words. "She's taught me a lot about hope and patience. We couldn't have done it without the community." The highlight of the gathering came when Emily led Belle into the open paddock. With careful guidance, the mare took tentative steps, then gradually found a steady rhythm, her movements fluid and strong. The crowd watched in awe as Belle trotted lightly, the wind catching her mane, embodying the spirit of renewal. Children cheered softly, their faces alight with wonder. Lisa, standing close to Emily, reached out to stroke Belle's neck, her eyes shining with newfound confidence. Marcus, who had spent countless hours helping at the clinic, stood with a quiet pride, his earlier skepticism replaced by admiration. The celebration was more than a testament to Belle's recovery. It was a reflection of the community's resilience, the power of compassion and collective care. Stories were shared of hardships overcome, bonds strengthened, and lives touched by the simple act of fighting for a chance. As the sun dipped low, casting golden hues across the fields, Emily felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Belle's journey had transformed not only the mare, but everyone who had been part of it. The clinic, once a place of quiet struggle, now buzzed with hope and possibility. Later, as the gathering wound down, Emily stood beside Belle in the fading light. The mare nuzzled her hand, a gentle gesture of trust and connection. Emily's voice was soft, filled with reverence. "You've come so far, Belle. This is just the beginning." The road ahead remained long, with care and attention still required. But the triumph of this day was a beacon, a reminder that healing was possible, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. Together, they faced the future with hearts full of hope and the promise of new beginnings. Months had passed since Belle first arrived at the clinic, fragile and broken, and now she stood transformed, a symbol of endurance and renewal, beneath the wide, open skies of Willow Creek. The mare's glossy coat shimmered in the morning sun, and her gait was confident, carrying a strength that only time and care could restore. But Belle's journey had become more than just a story of physical healing. It was a testament to the extraordinary power of compassion, community, and second chances. Emily stood at the edge of the pasture, watching as Belle moved freely, her muscles rippling beneath the sunlit fur. The mare had become a beloved figure in town, not only for her miraculous recovery, but for the hope she inspired in those who knew her story. Children from the local schools came regularly to visit, their laughter mingling with the soft sounds of the horses grazing. Families brought blankets and picnics, gathering to witness the quiet magic of a once-broken soul finding her stride. Among the visitors was a young boy named Jamie, born with cerebral palsy. His eyes lit up as he approached Belle, who stood patiently, sensing the boy's tentative excitement. Emily had worked closely with Jamie's family to create a safe and supportive environment, allowing the boy to experience the joy of riding under careful supervision. Jamie's first ride was a scene etched forever in Emily's memory. The boy's face radiant with delight as Belle moved steadily beneath him, the mare's intuitive nature guiding every step. It was a moment of pure connection, a dance of healing between two spirits that transcended words. Emily felt a swell of pride and gratitude as she observed the scene. Belle had become more than a patient. She was a healer, a gentle guide for those seeking solace and strength. The clinic had grown alongside her, evolving into the Goliath Recovery Ranch, a nonprofit dedicated to providing therapeutic programs for children, veterans, and families coping with trauma. The transformation had not been without challenges. Financial strains tested Emily's resolve, and the demands of expanding the facility stretched resources thin. But the community rallied, inspired by Belle's story and the tangible impact of the programs. Donations, volunteer efforts, and local partnerships fueled the growth, turning a small clinic into a beacon of hope. Emily's own journey mirrored Belle's in many ways. Both had faced moments of doubt and despair, only to emerge renewed through connection and purpose. The quiet veterinarian who had once wrestled with loss now stood at the helm of a thriving center, her vision realized through unwavering dedication. One crisp autumn afternoon, as golden leaves drifted through the air, Emily stood beside Belle in the pasture, her hand resting gently on the mare's neck. The ranch buzzed with activity, children laughing, horses neighing softly, and the hum of healing in every corner. "Look at us now," Emily whispered, a smile touching her lips. "From broken to whole." Belle nickered softly in reply, a sound that echoed the promise of new beginnings. The journey was far from over, but the story of Belle, and the lives she touched continued to unfold, a living testament to the extraordinary healing that can rise from the most unexpected places. In Willow Creek, beneath endless skies, hope had taken root and blossomed, carried forward by a Mare who refused to give up, and the woman who believed in the power of second chances.